Well, we've got more now on cybersecurity and what to expect now that the hacker group Lulz has decided to call it quits. Where are the biggest threats now, and how should companies and governments respond to this? Well, we were joined by Tom Kellerman. He's the Chief Technology Officer and also the Cyber Strategist at AirPatrol Group, and also a member of President Obama's Commission on Cybersecurity. Tom, good to have you back with us. And now that this group Lulz has disbanded, what's next?
Well, because they've gone to ground, I wouldn't say they've disbanded. You'll see a number of other hacker crews stepping into the void of this hacktivism, anarchist movement that they've created. What's important to recognize here is that many of these groups are hacking with impunity because of the reality that the risk of apprehension and prosecution is minimal, and corporate security in general is quite porous.
So, Tom, in your view, then, these 6 members, I think they've said, are likely to just regroup in other forms or in other groups, right?
These groups operate in a very ephemeral fashion, and we really must respect not only the sophistication and organization of these tribes per se, but the reality that there's a lot of cyber weaponry out there, and there are a lot of hackers that used to hack for financial gain that are beginning to focus their efforts in a cultural change on the anarchist movement of the 21st era.
So, okay, so describe to me what you thought of Lulz then. It was just simply to create anarchy then?
Lulz is just a group that essentially utilized the myriad of hacker tools out there to make a statement. And many hacker crews with their level of proficiency have been targeting their attacks against financial institutions or against government agencies for the purposes of fraud and or the theft of intellectual property. That has shifted now as they realize that they should be using their capabilities for the betterment of the underground itself.
Okay. So Lulz itself, why would they, if this is what they're trying to do, why would they suddenly announce that they've gone underground? Why do that?
I think there's 3 reasons for that. One would be they've gone underground because there's a lot of heat on them, for one. For 2 is I think they want to see how many of their followers, per se, will carry on the mantle of their efforts and their initiatives. And lastly, I think it's very important that they are looking for new capabilities as they sit and as they wait. There's a research and development effort ongoing within many of these communities to create newfangled mechanisms by which to break into websites and or the mobile environment.
Right, but they seem to be doing a pretty good job.
They are, but their attacks in general have focused on the weaknesses in website security because websites are never being built to be secure. There are many issues related to how organizations have built their websites, and they're being exploited through things like SQL injection attacks and cross-site scripting attacks. Okay,
you've got to explain that. What do you mean by that?
There are these known attack vectors that are very successful against most websites, and very few corporate websites are ever assessed for their vulnerability to SQL injection or cross-site scripting. More importantly, these websites, these portals, all these remote user bases that are using smartphones and tablets and laptop computers are also highly vulnerable to these same attacks that can bypass all of the internal security mechanisms they've had in place for years from the traditional perspective of cybersecurity.
So then essentially what it sounds like is that a lot of these companies just don't have the right risk management then to protect against these hackers, which in fact they could if they actually focused on that, right?
Agreed. And I would say if these companies really wanted to prioritize what they should do, first and foremost, they should create a remote access policy to secure their mobile workforce, to secure themselves from the hacks that are coming through the tablets and the smartphones and the laptop computers. But also, in addition to that, their websites were never built to be secure. They were just built to be resilient and to provide services. So they should actually be testing their websites for their susceptibility to the types of attacks that were illustrated by Lulz and other hacker crews.
Yeah, and it was interesting that Lulz came out and they released some of those documents or information that they got from the hacking. Tom, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us yet again. Tom Kellerman, a member of the President's Commission on Cybersecurity.